What's up, y'all? One Piece One Life here, and guys, what do you think was the best chapter of 2024? See, I know we're in 2025 now and everybody's looking towards the future with Elbaf, but I just want to pause for a moment and think about all the amazing chapters that we got last year. 2024 was a very solid year for One Piece chapters because we had the ending of the Egghead arc and the beginning of Elbaf. So I believe that there are some great chapters from both of those sections. And that's why I wanted to do this quick video that's just going to be me explaining what my personal top 10 chapters of 2024 are. And you know, with everything about my reasonings, some of them is actually story based, and some of them are agenda based. That's just how it is. But before we get into ranking some amazing chapters, guys, please do something for me. Like the video, subscribe to the channel for more One Piece content just like this every week. I mean, we just passed 450 and it's literally all thanks to you guys. I'm close to 500, which means half of 1,000. I never even thought I would have made it this far. So let's continue to grow that community by sharing it around to everyone who you know. Oh, and don't forget to follow me and my boys over at CSY. Guys, we are quickly approaching 5K and it's getting crazy. Now, I was gonna start with some honorable mentions until I realized that I don't want to. Which means we can kick things off with our number 10, which is going to be chapter 1121, The Ebb and Flow of the Tides. Side note, just so that we're all aware, I'm going to be using the names from the scans instead of the officials, just because even though I read both, I just personally prefer the scans wordings better. You know, I think that this is a solid number 10 because this is the chapter where we get the final spread of the race for the One Piece contenders. You know which one I'm talking about, where we see everybody who's supposed to be important and Kobe is a part of it, which is actually going to play into the Kobe video that I have planned for a few weeks down the line. To me, this was just really cool to see because you really understand that One Piece is entering its final stages. This is the time when all the characters that we cared about but didn't know that much about throughout the story are finally converging. We also see the random silhouette and we still have absolutely no idea who that person was referring to, which sparked multiple theories, you know, with it being Banks or Scopper Gaban or maybe a new character. But I think that aside, in that chapter, we also got a very, very powerful part because we got the conclusion of the story of Kuma and Bonnie, with Bonnie and Luffy doing their combo Gatling attack to finally defeat Saturn, the person who's been weighing the most on Kuma and Bonnie's life. Now at number 9, we have chapter 1133, Praise. And we all know why it's here. That's the Robin and Saul reunion. After 20 years of Robin being on the run, feeling like she doesn't really have anybody, leaving all her people behind, she finally is able to reunite with somebody from her past. And guys, honestly, it's really sweet. The way that Oda draws it is really amazing, and the way that he parallels it with the first time that Robin ever met Saul, because Saul is like stretched out on the beach and then tries to scare her, but just like it didn't scare her back then, he isn't able to scare her now. Now, given the context and controversy around Saul still being alive and where I land on that personal debate, I'm gonna say that it dropped a bit from where I originally had it, but you know, it's still 9 out of 33 chapters. I think that that's solid. And besides, even though it's valid for me to have those critiques, I still think that at the end of the day, I do want Robin to be happy, and I'm happy that I was able to see that for her. At number 8, we got chapter 1126, Taking Responsibility. Now, we usually get these kind of chapters between arcs where we see what the rest of the world is doing, but especially the other emperors. We're always focused so much on Luffy that we don't get that much time to see what the other emperors are doing. To be fair, Egghead did change that since we were cutting away to the rest of the world a lot anyway, but still, having those in between arc, connective tissue is really important to me. First of all, RIP to Bart, man. I understand that what he did was wrong, and he understood that what he did was wrong, which is why he apologized. And look, I was never the biggest Bart fan, particularly because I have no idea still to this day how to actually say his name properly. But you gotta feel for the guy. All he did was love Luffy, and I mean, he's us. He's literally our representation in this world. Speaking of, I still love Shanks, but wow, did this start the agenda of why we hate Yasopp here. And in case you don't understand why, let me give you a quick rundown. People already hated him because he's a bum father to Usopp, a coward who didn't even want to see him even after Wano, where he got a 500 million bounty. But hey Yasopp, I have a question for you. If Shanks said, oh wow, it's okay, he likes Luffy, ha ha ha, you know what, he understands, let's just let him go because that was the test that I gave him. Who the hell are you to say, nah, let me do this one? Who asked you to do that? I complained about it when that chapter came out, and I'm gonna complain about it to the end of the series. I hate Yasop. Then the chapter continues on, giving us some more agenda fuel when we learn that I was right. The Blackbeard pirates, by and large, are indeed bums. Because we see Garp tied up and everything, and they're saying that, wow, even all of us together, it was still remarkably hard to even capture him, let alone put him down. You're telling me that they had him tied up and they still couldn't kill him? And people would be like,
well, obviously Kobe escaped, so now that they have Garp, they have an even better chip to bargain with.
Who cares? But with that said, I still love seeing the Blackbeard pirate crew come together in like one panel. But the thing that I like the most about this chapter is actually that we get some Luffy gas, because it sounds to me like from the way he's speaking, Luffy is about to move crazy, and I am excited for it. Now our number 7 placement is gonna be chapter 1125, What Constitutes Death. Again, one of those connective tissue chapters. But this one was even better because this is the chapter that we see Garland get promoted to be a Gorosei. This is the first time we even understand that, you know, the Gorosei can cycle through, that it's not just been this 5 for the entire duration of their run. Saturn being killed by Imu is just the cherry on top because wow, did he deserve it. This is also the chapter that we get Frankenpunk, and I don't have much to say about Frankenpunk other than wow. And then guys, we even get some dragon gas because instead of just looking east and having some kind of witty one-liner, he's actually saying a bit more. Now number 6, we're gonna have chapter 1130, The Accursed Prince. To me, this was my favorite Elbaf chapter that we've gotten so far. Firstly, we got not 1, but 2 incredible reveals in this chapter. The Loki reveal with Luffy being so small compared to him was very impactful, and his design is amazing. But then on top of that, we get to see what Elbaf itself also looks like, and wow, is it beautiful. One of the biggest and most vast islands that we've ever been to, and I can't wait to continue exploring it. We also got that inflation is confirmed to be a thing because Jory and Bragi, who used to have 100 million apiece 100 years ago, now got bumped to, checks notes, 1,800,000,000 each, which places them in the top 20 currently highest bounties in the series. This is also the chapter that we learned that Haruden is Loki's brother and a prince of Elbaf, and essentially this is where the Bum Prince agenda started, and I will continue to call him the Bum Prince. He went extreme diff with Mach Vice. Now kicking off the top 5, we got chapter 1113, Stalemate. Now Sanji's my favorite character, and this chapter was great for his stocks because this is the chapter that he kicked Venus Juro and, you know, was actually seeming to do decently well against him. Venus Juro even bit him, and it looked like, you know, obviously it's gonna hurt because you're fighting a damn Gorosei, but you know, he didn't get immediately severed in half. The beginning of this chapter also confirmed the theory that I had prior to this chapter, which was that Vegapunk literally was a brain in a vat, where because Vegapunk was a brain in a vat and that's his true form, he could allow the rest of the actual Vegapunks to have themselves be offed. And then the end of this chapter has probably one of the biggest reveals in all of the series, which is that the world is currently sinking. At number 4, we got chapter 1109, Termination. Because in case you forgot what happened, let me remind you with this picture. Yeah, this is the chapter that Luffy became top 3. At least Luffy's potential got to top 3. Because he was taking on 2 Admiral level or higher opponents at the same time in Kizaru and Saturn. Literally pizza diffing both of them. Like, I know Morge says this a lot, but I don't think if people really realize this. Luffy really could have killed Kizaru there if he had just flung him away from the boats, because he would have plunged to the sea and drowned because he's a Devil Fruit user. So Kizaru, count yourself lucky, bud. Then we have another raw panel because we have the 5 paths of purgatory summoning. At the end of the chapter, Saturn's like, you know what, I've had enough of this, and busts out the Naruto summoning jutsu. Crazy how we have the paths of punk and the paths of purgatory in the same arc. At number 3, I'm gonna give it to 1115, Continental Fragments, because this is where we finally start to sink our teeth into everything that is the Void Century. To be fair, it's a confirmation on a lot of things we knew, but also revelations of new things that we didn't know before. The first comes off the fact of the last chapter where it said that Joy Boy was the first pirate ever. We get confirmation of the fact that the Ancient War was essentially placing Joy Boy's faction, the Ancient Kingdom, against the allied powers that would eventually become the world government. But then we get the reveal that 1,000 years ago, we didn't have this island-based format. We had huge continents, larger land masses that then got swallowed up by the sea, most likely due to, at least what Vegapunk theorizes to be, the ancient weapons. Side note, this is also when the fraud hack allegations got really bad because we saw Nesjiro slice through the entirety of the Labo phase. Our penultimate spot is gonna go to chapter 1122, The Time Is At Hand. We all know why this is here, guys. Joy Boy's refrigerated hockey, the single greatest hockey feat we've seen in the series. It's crazy to think that we keep having multiple Advanced Conquerors hockey feats, each one being more impressive than the last. Because we had Shanks' Wi-Fi hockey and we thought that was crazy. That was then topped by Garp's Galaxy Impact, and now that has now been topped by this. This is also the first time that we see Joy Boy speaking, and it makes me very excited for when we get his eventual flashback down the line. Also, this has nothing to do with the chapter itself, but shout out My Hero Academia ending with Oda redrawing Horikoshi's smoker picture. But guys, it's time to reveal what I believe the #1 chapter of last year was. I'll give you a few seconds to guess in the comments. Okay, for me, #1 is gonna have to be chapter 1110. Planetfall. Because guys, the large spread that we got of all of the Gorosei's yokai forms, to me that's not just one of the largest and best spreads of last year or in a while, but just generally of the post-time skip era. We see the Workeries of Fengshi, Mars is an Itsumade, Nesjiro is a cool Bakotsu skeletal horse, Saturn of course is the Gyuki, and Jupiter is an extra from the set of Dune 2. At the end of the chapter we get the reuniting between Dory and Bragi and Luffy, who they just couldn't wait to see Luffy, so they came to pick him up himself, or rather themselves. And then of course one of my favorite agendas to come out of Egghead, which is that without Sanji's help, Zoro couldn't have beat Lucci. Because hey, let's just say the facts of what we know. Zoro was being the king of Huff the entire duration of the Lucci fight. The moment Sanji goaded him on is when Zoro flipped the script and took Lucci down, and then proceeded to get ratioed because it showed that Lucci had Zoro's own nothing happened moment in the next chapter. I'm not gonna lie, Zoro versus Lucci was peak comedy and I will not stop talking about it. But yeah guys, shorter video, but that's just gonna be my list of what the top 10 One Piece chapters of 2024 were. But I really want to hear from you guys. What do you think the best chapter of 2024 was? Do you agree with my list? Make sure you let me know all that and more in the comments below. That is the end of the video, y'all, but before we go, make sure you like the video, make sure you subscribe to the channel for more One Piece content just like this every week. I'm gonna start doing some polls sometime soon to see what you guys want to see from me in terms of upcoming vids, and share it around with all your friends who love the series. You know what we always say here, I'm trying to build a community, but I need your help to do it. Well, that's gonna be all from me. I'll catch you on the next one, and always remember, One Piece, one life.